what's up, everyone? The Endzone Report is back for another season of football, coming at you the day before the NFL draft kicks off with round one tomorrow night in Pittsburgh. It's going to be great. It's going to be awesome. Unless you're a Denver Bronco fan, unless you're a Cincinnati Bengal fan, for you gave away your first round pick for, we could say, a superstar, hot commodity, whatever you want to call it. Jalen Waddle, of course, goes to Denver, first pick. Dexter Lawrence goes to Cincinnati for a number one pick to New York. So we'll see how the draft shapes out after those trades. And I'm sure we're going to get more trades during the draft tomorrow night. I'm predicting at least 2, but we'll get into that more later on in the episode. First, I want to just say thank you all for supporting last season. It was the first season of the podcast. It's truly been an absolute joy to just talk about football once a week. These next couple of months, it's going to be about an episode or 2 per month. Once August hits, though, that's when we'll get back to the regular routine with an episode every week. Next month, we'll talk about some hot topics, some targets to go for in your fantasy drafts. We'll get caught up with any other offseason moves that go on. And then in June, we'll start doing some mock drafts, both dynasty and redraft. Last year, we only did redraft mock drafts. Well, this year, we're going to incorporate some dynasty mock drafts as well, with all those rookie drafts going on post NFL drafts. So it's going to be a lot of fun. And then in July, we'll get into more updates on roster movements and more mock drafts. And then August, that's when we'll get into the division warfare. We'll get into some last minute roster moves. And then we'll get into that big mock draft that we do every year. And then we'll have that league go on throughout the season. And we'll update you on how everybody does. So if you want to be a part of that draft, reach out to the podcast, whether it's on social media, the phone number. You can check out my socials as well. So there's a lot of different ways you can get a hold of the show. But let's make this another awesome football season in 2026. So a couple of reminders. You can watch the show at youtube.com/The Endzone Report. You can also listen to it on your favorite podcast listening service if you just want the audio version. But check out the video version on YouTube today. Also, again, check out those socials, Facebook, X, and Instagram, and go ahead and follow the show. I post all the updates from the NFL, all the graphics from all the episodes, and many, many, many more stuff to come. So with that, let's head into our first segment of the day and check on what is up with the NFL. So with the first segment of the day, we're going to kind of recap the free agent frenzy with the top move that each of the 32 teams made so far in the offseason. We'll start with the NFC, and then we'll head over to the AFC. So first up, Seattle Seahawks. Their biggest move was probably the JSN extension. They signed Jackson Smith-Njigba to a 4-year, $168 million extension contract, solidifying that he is the dude. He is the number one target for Sam Darnold in this offense. They shipped out Kenneth Walker to KC. So we'll see if they pick up a running back at the draft. But JSN, they wanted to make it known that he is the dude. And it makes sense. You know, the year he had last year, he earned that bag of money. He earned that 4-year commitment to him. So JSN extension is probably the biggest that Seattle has done so far. Los Angeles Rams, their biggest one was probably the Trent McDuffie trade with KC as well. They needed something to just kind of bolster up that defense. So, and McDuffie still got some life in him. That was a massive trade with a lot of picks going into it. But the Rams are now the winner of a Trent McDuffie. San Francisco 49ers, well, they went wide receiver this offseason with Mike Evans. Mike Evans ditches the Buccaneers and heads to San Francisco to help out Brock Purdy and Shanahan. So the Niners really needed this. They are hurting at wide receiver, so it made sense that they were going to make a splash at wide receiver this offseason, and they are the proud winner of a Mike Evans. Wrapping up the NFC West, we've got the Arizona Cardinals, who have got question marks all over the place. They brought back Jacoby Brissett. They got rid of Kyler Murray. He is now with the Minnesota Vikings. They've kept James Conner. They've kept Marvin Harrison. They've kept Benson. Of course, they kept McBride. But they picked up Tyler Algier from the Atlanta Falcons. So we'll see who the number one back is in this offense. Could be Tyler Algier, could be James Conner again. My guess is with the age and the injury proneness of Conner, I wouldn't be surprised if Tyler Algier comes out of camp as the number one running back for this team. Heading to the NFC North, we got the Chicago Bears. After they ditched DJ Moore to the Buffalo Bills, they pick up Khalif Raymond from Detroit, I believe. So he seems to be the replacement at wide receiver for DJ Moore. The Minnesota Vikings made a splash at quarterback for a measly $1 million, and they picked up Kyler Murray from the Arizona Cardinals, which I predicted all last season and all this offseason that Kyler Murray was going to be a Minnesota Viking because he cost $1 million. It was a no-brainer. So, of course, Minnesota Vikings were either going to take Tua or they were going to take Kyler Murray for $1 million. I think Kyler Murray was the best pick and the best choice for that offense. So I am super excited about Kyler Murray in Minnesota. Can't wait to see what he does with that offense with Justin Jefferson, with Jordan Addison, with Hawkinson, with Aaron Jones. It's going to be great. That defense is still solid. They just got to keep that offensive line healthy and kind of incorporate Kyler's strength into this offense and mold him into the quarterback that KOC can coach. So Kyler Murray is now a Minnesota Viking. Detroit Lions. They picked up Isaiah Pacheco after shipping off David Montgomery to Houston. So Isaiah Pacheco comes on over to try to help out that running back room with Jahmyr Gibbs. And then wrapping up the NFC North, we got the Green Bay Packers, who seemed to just ship everybody off and didn't really pick up a whole lot. I think the biggest move they made was probably Sky Moore at wide receiver to make up for Romeo Doubs. And I think Dontayvion Wicks got booted out as well. So not a big splash for the Packers. We'll see what they do in the NFL draft, but they are now the proud owner of a Sky Moore. The Dallas Cowboys, their biggest move was probably franchise tagging George Pickens, who had a pretty great first year with the Dallas Cowboys. I'm excited to see what he ends up doing this year. You know, CeeDee Lamb should be healthy, so it should, kind of help out and spread the ball a little bit. But I'm glad that George Pickens is coming back to Dallas. He had a really good rapport with Prescott and with that offense, and they need him. They need weapons for Prescott to stay, alive in the season. So the New York Giants, they picked up the 10th pick from the Cincinnati Bengals in that Dexter Lawrence trade. I mean, they've made other big moves, like they signed John Harbaugh. They picked up the tight end from Baltimore. Drawing a blank on his name. Hopefully, we'll see if Malik Neighbors is healthy. We'll see if Jackson Dart takes a step forward at quarterback. And they kind of just have a hodgepodge of people in the running back room. I know there's rumors going around that they might pull the trigger on Jeremiah Love. Doesn't really make sense with all, Cam Scattaboo. They've got Tyrone Tracy. I think they still got Singletary there. But their biggest move was probably getting their second first-round pick. Not just another first-round pick, another top 10 pick. So they have the 5th pick, and now they have the 10th pick from Cincy. They control their own destiny at this point. The Philadelphia Eagles, their biggest move was probably picking up Dontayvion Wicks from Green Bay, which is going to come in handy because rumor is A.J. Brown's out the door and headed to New England. So their answer to getting rid of A.J. Brown is Dontayvion Wicks. That is disgusting, and I'm happy to see it. I really don't care for the Eagles. I am out on the Eagles. I've traded Jalen Hurts and Devontae Smith out of my dynasty leagues. I'm not drafting Jalen Hurts or any Eagle this year. I'm totally out on Philly, especially and this was before the A.J. Brown news. The A.J. Brown news just, closes the door for me on Philly completely. It's going to be a train wreck. The Washington Commanders, they pick up Chig Okonkwo from the Tennessee Titans. So they are adding a weapon for Jaden Daniels in the tight end position. So we'll see how he does there. We have the New Orleans Saints. They are a proud winner of a Travis Etienne Jr. So basically saying we are moving on from Alvin Kamara and we are moving forward with Travis Etienne. But Kamara is still on that roster. We'll see if he, ships out to another team or if he stays in as a backup. He's not starting on this team. Travis Etienne is the starter. I don't care what any other analyst or news report says. Travis Etienne will be the RB1 for this team. Alvin Kamara will either take a back seat or he will go play for another team. So Travis Etienne is now a Saint. The Tampa Bay Buccaneers, since they got rid of Mike Evans, they picked up Kenneth Gainwell. But they also sent out Rachaad White. So that kind of makes sense that they went running back. And Gainwell had a pretty good year last year with Pittsburgh. So they needed to do something in there. The Atlanta Falcons, their biggest move was probably picking up Tua Tagovailoa from the Miami Dolphins. After kicking Kirk Cousins out the building and sending Tyler Algier to Arizona, I think Tua is probably the biggest one. There's a real possibility that Tua is the week 1 starter. We'll see how Michael Penix is healing up from his injuries, or, during a camp battle, if Tua outperforms Michael Penix miraculously. I'm kind of out on Drake London. I think I'm okay with Kyle Pitts because we've seen what Tua has done with the tight end position in Miami. But Atlanta seems a little risky. I think Bijan is probably the safest pick if you're going to take a Falcon in your drafts, but you can convince me on Drake London, maybe, and then maybe Kyle Pitts. And then the last team of the NFC, we got the Carolina Panthers, who haven't really done a whole lot either. Their biggest move was probably picking up Jalen Phillips to help out with their defense. So that pretty much wraps up the NFC. Not like huge blockbuster ones. Probably the biggest one would be probably Travis Etienne to the Saints, Kyler Murray to the Vikings, Mike Evans to the Niners, and then that 10th pick from the Giants, having 2 top 10 picks in the draft this year. It's wild. AFC. Well, we're going to do things right. We're going to start with my Denver Broncos because they just gave up their first-round pick this year for Jalen Waddle. I was hoping they'd do something at wide receiver, and they went and got Jalen Waddle. Now, I agree, they probably overpaid, but I'm glad that they did something, and they needed wide receivers for Bo Nix. Cortland Sutton is not the dude. Like, he's talented, but he is not the number 1 for a team, especially not this team. And you got a bunch of young guys like Humphrey and Joy Franklin, but they needed to make a splash at wide receiver. And they honestly probably could have had a splash at running back as well. I was kind of hoping they would have gotten like Alvin Kamara or maybe even Travis Etienne. But it sounds like they were willing to give up a bunch of stuff for Kenneth Walker, but KC beat them to the punch, so they ended up going wide receiver, which I'm glad. Bo Nix needs weapons, like I said. We'll see what they do in the draft as far as the running back position and the tight end position. Those have a lot of question marks around it, but I'm really glad they got a wide receiver here. Jalen Waddle is a good wide receiver. I like it. I think they had to overpay to do something, and this is one of the pieces missing for a Super Bowl run with Bo Nix. The Kansas City Chiefs, they pick up Kenneth Walker III, Super Bowl MVP Kenneth Walker III, got booted out of Seattle and went to KC. That is killer for the league. Patrick Mahomes now has a reliable running back again. All he needs now is a reliable wide receiver, and the Chiefs could make a run this year. I hate to say it, but adding Kenneth Walker III gets the Chiefs dynasty back in play. I hate it, but I'm glad to see Kenneth Walker got a big bag of money and went to a team that has a shot at going to the Super Bowl again. The Las Vegas Raiders, who seems to be getting Fernando Mendoza in the draft, but we'll talk about that here shortly. Their biggest move is probably picking up Kirk Cousins. We'll see what Kirk Cousins' role is in this offense. Say Fernando does indeed go to Las Vegas. Kirk Cousins will probably start the first part of the year, and then they'll probably throw Mendoza in there. But Kirk Cousins is a really good mentor figure for, let's say, a Mendoza. So it makes sense. And Tom Brady, I'm sure, is a fan of Kirk Cousins. He wanted a proven veteran in the building to help out the young guy that they're going to most likely draft. So that signing Kirk Cousins basically tells me that they are going to take Fernando Mendoza at number 1. Los Angeles Chargers did absolutely nothing. Like, I literally wrote nothing in my notes. I haven't heard a peep out of the Chargers. They haven't done anything. So we'll see what they do in the draft. But this team looks pretty much the same as it did last year. The Cincinnati Bengals, they gave away the 10th pick of the draft for Dexter Lawrence, which they need to do something on defense. That defense has been horrendous. It's what's been holding them back, next to the offensive line problems, of course. But they needed to make a splash somewhere, and I'm glad that they did, because I want to see the Bengals succeed. I'm a huge Joe Burrow fan. I want him to get a ring finally. So I think Dexter Lawrence makes sense. To give up the 10th pick, we'll see if it was worth it, or they could have just gotten somebody in the draft that could have filled that spot. We'll see how Dexter Lawrence does. The Pittsburgh Steelers, they made a splash, kind of, at wide receiver. They picked up Michael Pittman Jr. from the Indianapolis Colts. We're still waiting on the Aaron Rodgers decision. He's going to drag it out like he always does. He's going to wait till probably post-draft or during the draft because he needs the attention. So we'll see what most likely Aaron Rodgers is going to be coming back to Pittsburgh one more year. Mike McCarthy is now the head coach. They're taking over for Tomlin. But Michael Pittman Jr. has been added to the wide receiver room for the Steelers alongside DK Metcalf, who is still there. We'll see if anything changes with Metcalf, but looks like Aaron Rodgers could be walking into a Pittman-Metcalf offense. The Cleveland Browns, just like their fellow Chargers, diddly frickin' squat. Didn't really see anything notable from the Browns. They seem to be in autopilot mode. They're probably going to just pick up capital from the draft a bunch of guys, maybe trade down to gather up more assets, but didn't really do anything in the draft. The Baltimore Ravens were involved in the whole Mike Crosby debacle, is what I'm calling. Well, they ended up with Trey Hendrickson from Cincinnati, but they were originally supposed to get Max Crosby, backed out of the deal, and picked up Trey Hendrickson instead. So Max Crosby is still with the Las Vegas Raiders. If you ask me, I think Baltimore realized that they could have gotten Trey Hendrickson cheaper, and they got cold feet and said, psych, NFL, we're going to save a bunch of money and a bunch of picks, and we're going to go pick up Hendrickson instead of Crosby. So it's pretty shady stuff. I'm pretty sure the league is going to investigate on this. But instead of Max Crosby, the Baltimore Ravens now have Trey Hendrickson for their defense. I mentioned it already, but the Buffalo Bills have now got DJ Moore in the wide receiver room, which is great. Josh Allen needed somebody to throw the ball to. Their current wide receiver room was not cutting it. This is a huge win for not just Josh Allen, but for the Buffalo Bills as a whole. They had to do something, and they ended up picking DJ Moore. The New England Patriots, this is a little ahead of the game, but their biggest move right now seems to be the A.J. Brown trade. Once it goes through, it sounds like this won't go through until post-June 1st, but I'm marking it down as their biggest move because this is massive. Drake May getting A.J. Brown is massive. That is their leap forward to potential Super Bowl run again. They also picked up Romeo Doubs from Green Bay, so Drake May has got weapons coming into the building after they ditched Stephon Diggs to the curb, which is great. But A.J. Brown looks like he is going to be a New England Patriot, which is great because he also has a rapport with Mike Vrabel. Mike Vrabel was the one that fought against trading him from the Titans to begin with to Philly. So very exciting for Patriots fans. The New York Jets. Their biggest move was Geno Smith. Picking up Geno Smith from the Raiders, who was kicked out of Seattle the year before. Like Cleveland, I think the Jets are on autopilot. We'll see what they do in the draft, but their biggest move seems to be Geno Smith. Miami Dolphins, after they kicked Tua out the building, they went and picked up Malik Willis for, I think it was like a 3-year contract. So they've committed with Malik Willis at quarterback. That is their biggest move. Also, they shipped Jalen Waddle over to Denver. So they pick up a quarterback and they get rid of their number one target in the offense. I know there's been rumors going around too that Devon Achane could be traded, during the draft or after the draft or right before the draft. But yeah, that's Miami is in tank mode too, I think. The Tennessee Titans, they picked up Wan'Dale Robinson from the Giants, which is great. They needed a wide receiver, and Wan'Dale Robinson had a great year last year with Malik Neighbors going down with an injury. Wan'Dale Robinson picked up the bag and headed to Tennessee, which is good. They needed somebody for them to throw the ball to. And I mean, Calvin Ridley just hasn't really been the guy. He's been injured a lot. They got rid of Chigakonkwo. Looks like they're probably going to be the winners of Jeremiah Love, the running back out of Notre Dame, in the draft. So they needed a wide receiver. Wan'Dale Robinson, they said, was their guy. The Jacksonville Jaguars, their biggest move is probably the Trayvon Walker extension. 4 years for a whopping $110 million. They, of course, did sent away Travis Etienne Jr. to the Saints. So the biggest move they made so far, most likely that Walker extension. Indianapolis Colts, their biggest move was probably re-signing Alec Pierce to a whopping 4-year, $114 million contract. They also sent Michael Pittman packing to Steelerland. So Alec Pierce seems to be the dude in Indianapolis. And then lastly, but certainly not least, we've got the Houston Texans, who picked up David Montgomery after Detroit kicked him to the curb. So they had another running back. He's most likely going to be the running back 1 on this offense. We'll see how that whole running back room shapes up during camp, but looks like it is his job to lose in Houston. So those are your biggest moves from each of the 32 teams so far in the offseason. Like I said, next month's episode, we will catch up with any other trades or roster movements that go on in the NFL. Let's take a quick break, and then we'll get into my predictions for the first 10 picks of the draft. So I'm not a huge college football watcher. I probably watched the most college football this past year just because I was doing the podcast, trying to get familiar with these young guys coming into the league so that I could be able to predict the draft on the show. So we're going to go through the first 10 spots. I thought about doing the full, first 32, but that is really tough. It's really time consuming. A lot of research has to go into it. So I'm going to stick with the top 10. I actually had a lot of fun with the top 10. There's a lot of different ways that this draft could start out. But one pick in particular seems to be pretty solidified, especially after certain roster moves have been made. So we're going to kick off with the first pick of the draft, which the Las Vegas Raiders have. And I'm pretty sure that they're going to go with Fernando Mendoza, quarterback from Indiana. So that is my prediction for the first overall pick in the 2026 draft is Fernando Mendoza. I think 99.9% of the people out there are pretty sure Fernando is going to be taken by the Vegas Raiders. I think everybody else in the league is pretty much under the assumption that Vegas is taking Mendoza. So they have already wiped him off their board. If for some reason the Raiders do not take Mendoza, the Jets will take Mendoza at number 2. Very, very unlikely. I think it's like a 0.00001% chance that the Jets end up walking out of here unless they end up getting the first overall pick from the Raiders. I'm not even completely ignoring that whole idea. With them bringing in Kirk Cousins, there is that possibility that the Raiders, if given the right package, could trade away the number 1 pick. Now, I'm not saying that's going to happen, but there is a chance that the Raiders do end up selling the first overall pick, and whoever ends up getting that pick will take Mendoza. My guess would be teams like Arizona, the Jets, and Cleveland, maybe New Orleans, maybe. But I think the Jets and Arizona would be the top ones to potentially move up a spot or two to get Mendoza. But I'm pretty sure Mendoza is going to the Raiders, no doubt about it. So that is my pick for number 1. Number 2 is held by the New York Jets. Now, if they do not get Mendoza, I'm pretty sure they're going to go edge here, and I'm picking David Bailey from Texas Tech as their pick at number 2. Number 3 is held by the Arizona Cardinals. I think they are also going to go edge as well with Avril Reese, I think is how you say his name. I'm going to butcher these names because I'm terrible at names. But Reese from Ohio State, I think, is going to be Arizona's pick since Bailey will be taken. Now, if Reese goes first by the Jets, I think Arizona will then take Bailey. Those are the number 2 guys, the 1 and 2 that I think is going to happen. So could flip-flop, but I'm going Bailey, New York Jets, and I'm going Reese, Arizona Cardinals. Number 4, this one seems pretty locked in unless Arizona decides to take him or the Giants trade up and get him. But I'm pretty sure Jeremiah Love, the number 1 prospect in the running back position from Notre Dame, is going to go to the Tennessee Titans because they need a running back. Like, they desperately need a running back. Tony Pollard is not the guy. They have to get a huge talent in that position. So Jeremiah Love, I think, is going to go to the Tennessee Titans at number 4. Number 5, New York Giants have this pick. I think they're going to go linebacker. They're going to go with Sonny Styles out of Ohio State. So the second Ohio State player going into the top 5 of the draft. Number 6 is held by the Cleveland Browns. I think they're going to go offensive tackle, and they're going to go with Caden Proctor out of Alabama. So I think they're going to go offensive tackle here. Number 7, the Washington Commanders. I think they're going to go cornerback. And they're going to go with Mansour Delane, I think is how you say his first name. We'll see. Out of LSU. So I think they're going to go cornerback here with Delane. Or it could be Delaney. Either way. Number 8, we have the New Orleans Saints. Since they picked up Travis Etienne, I don't think they're going to go running back here. They seem to be fine with their current quarterback position. So I don't think they're going to go Ty Simpkins here. So I think they're going to go wide receiver. They're going to go with Jordan Tyson out of Arizona State. So I think Tyson will be the first wide receiver off the board. Number 9, we have the Kansas City Chiefs. You know, it's wild to think that the Patrick Mahomes, Andy Reid-led Kansas City Chiefs have a top 10 pick. It's wild. Probably the most wild thing that I can think of right now is that the KC dynasty has a top 10 pick for Patrick Mahomes. It's crazy. So I think they're going to go offensive tackle. I think they're going to get Spencer Fano out of Utah. Now, I thought maybe they could go wide receiver here, but I think they're going to wait because they have another pick later on in the first round. So I think they're going to utilize that later pick for the wide receiver. At number 10, the New York Giants' second pick in the top 10. I think they are going to go wide receiver, and they're going to take Carnell Tate out of Ohio State. So that's what? 1, 2, 3 Ohio State players in the top 10 that I'm going with. Other teams that I'm thinking of, I think Ty Simpkins is going to go to the Pittsburgh Steelers as the potential successor to Aaron Rodgers. I think Minnesota is going to get their hands on Sadiq from Oregon, the tight end prodigy who is rated the number 1 tight end this year. I think he will be picked there at number 18 to succeed Hawkinson. So yeah, that was my top 10 picks for the NFL draft. I will post this online. I'll probably post some of the other picks as well in the first round so that you guys can check those out. But those are picks 1 through 10. So we're going to see how many of those I get right and how many I get wrong. Probably all of them, except for Mendoza and probably Jeremiah Love. Those might be the only 2 I get right, but we'll see. So that's going to do it for today's first episode of the 2026 season. A lot of fun stuff coming out. Like I said, once the week 1 starts this fall, we're going to go back to 1 episode every week. But for now, we're going to do 1 or 2 episodes every month just to kind of keep you updated on the NFL, do some mock drafting, do some rankings, and just have a whole lot of fun. We'll have some guests too, especially on those mock draft episodes. We're going to try to get some guests on the air so that you can watch us talk things out, different strategies, and where players are going. So check out last season's episodes on YouTube or your favorite podcast listening service as well. Have a good rest of the day, and we'll see you all next time on the show.